Hello and welcome back everybody to True Remembrance. So, I gotta be honest here, I'm tired as shit. Uh, you know what the bad side is about these overly long Clannad episodes? I don't have time to record anything else. They take forever to edit. They take forever to finally upload. It just takes... One Clannad episode basically takes the time of 2 other episodes. And that's basically because one Clannad episode is as long as 2 episodes of anything else, you know. So, but I finally came back around to play this, even though I might be a bit sleepy. But since things are gonna heat up, I guess my sleepiness will be gone soon. I'm sorry. This all happened because I was sloppy. So I'll make things right. Somehow. I'll be fine. She said as she got up off the floor. She certainly didn't look fine. Her face was pale, and her legs were shaking a bit. I sighed, and stopped her before she went out the door. I appreciate the sentiment, but you'd better stop. But if you fail, then you won't be the only one who dies. La will too. So that's quite enough out of you. She looks like she was about to cry, out of frustration and anger. I surveyed the wreckage around the room. Poor La. All her tidy housework had gone to waste. Our silence had obviously been very thorough. Thorough in their search. There we go. But I have to do something. We have to save La. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But Lips just shook her head violently. It's all my fault this happened. Yeah, that's true. But there's something else. She knew about me. She knew everything, and she still tried to rescue me. So you told her about the group then? Yes. There wasn't any way I could avoid it. She made me say everything. Just what it was you'd taken from me, just how dangerous it would be. And then she brought me to your place. They tried to make me hostage too, you see, but she assured them that she'd be sufficient. They believed her. Really? Man, these are some stupid-ass terrorists. But this kinda confirms that she also, at least at one point, was a terrorist. So that she's kinda innocent is pretty much out the window. Suddenly, a line from a book I'd once read flashed into my mind. Something about idiocy, claptrap, and hysterical folly. Roughly in that order. But I also realized, with dawning horror, that it was just like La to do something like this. She's such a good girl. I love her, in my own way. I consider her my friend. That's why I'm coming with you, whether you like it or not. Very well. Okay. Seems all a bit strange to me, but... Hell, I'm not feeling like my brain is working accordingly right now, so what can you do? Not like you take no for an answer anyway. Let's get going. Even if the group tries to contact us, they won't come here to do it. You have a telephone at your place. No, I don't find it necessary. Fair enough. Not many people in town had telephones. And the reason for that was simple enough. Many of our guests had an extreme aversion to them, and their incessant ringing. And we'd better head to Aroma. I agree. If they decide to get in touch with us, it'll be there. There was no point in searching around blindly. That would hurt more than it would help. So for now, we were going to have to wait. I knew that intellectually, but still emotionally this was hard to take. Every moment we sat still was another moment that La was in a hostile party's hand. And I don't even know how you can trust her for a second, to be honest. That might as well be very much a trap or something. How should you know? My fears, however, were unfounded. Rook was waiting for us by the time we got to Aroma. There had already been contact. I want you to bring the list to the old church on 5th in 1 hour sharp. Now, would you mind telling me what the hell is going on here? And that's exactly what I did. Rook was more correct than he knew. This was hell, alright. I told him everything. about the gun, the list, last kidnapping, and about how Lips was a member of the terrorist cell. Rook was completely blown away. You're really with them? No freaking kidding? No kidding. Although it seems that I've become a traitor. Okay, so she actually was? Up till, up till right when Black Iris found out about it, I guess. It was startling to watch the way that Rook was studying Lips now. He wasn't just staring at her the way he usually ogled beautiful ladies or something. Wait a minute. He was, young women, not young ladies. Okay. No, this was a hard, emotionless glare. He saved it for rivals and enemies, like me, sometimes. But I had no time for any of this today. I left Aroma, with Lips hot on my heels. I have kinda the feeling she's going to die. I don't know. Yeah, it kind of feels like a story where she can redeem herself. But as mentioned, I don't know. Rook looked like he wanted to come with us, but eventually I had him stay put. Now it was true that someone had to stay behind just in case there was any further contact. But still, I knew that I was dealing him a harsh hand here. It had started snowing by the time we made it to the trolley station. Neither of us had umbrellas. Our heads were dusted with snow. We didn't care. Lips kept pace at my side. Her eyes were straight forward. Her entire body was quivering with tension, and yet she seemed far more at home within herself now than the first time I'd met her. Tell me, how come you're not asking me about the leader of the cell? Because I know who he is. I saw him myself. He's a high-ranking professor of memory ideology. Never had a class with him, though. Right. That's right. The man I saw coming out of the apartment on 5th Street. There was no mistaking him. Everyone in my class during my training days knew who he was. A figure like that would have access to every last operational file that HQ had to offer. So the people in 5th Street are actually really no government people, they are part of the cell. Okay, makes sense. No wonder nobody had been able to bring these terrorists to justice. And don't you want to know what our goals are? Not at all. I told you before, you're free to do as you please in this town. But if you lay so much a finger on my guest, and that's exactly what's happened, then there'll be hell to pay. Lips looked at me in silence for a time. Then finally she spoke, in a voice cold as steel. She's probably safe. He's not as horrible as you're making him out to be. Not horrible enough to hurt La, but just horrible enough to explode bombs on innocent people, eh? My, I was so impressed by his compassion. Lips saw the look on my face and smiled painfully. Very well. I see there'll be no convincing you. So I'll just tell you. Whether you believe me or not, that's up to you. She looked up at the snow clouds, as if there were to be the last time her eyes would see them. Maybe it's all just a conspiracy. Maybe it's all like government making people crazy with terrorist attack? Man, I don't know. And then she started to talk. Total emancipation. They want to break down the bureaucracy. It clearly doesn't work. Memory sites should serve anywhere and everywhere, not just in this isolated location. It's not doing us any favors at all. They constructed this town precisely because it was dangerous for memory sites out in the real world. A memory site's powers and his control over them were incredibly unstable things. And on top of that, most people hadn't even heard of us. If people knew, then we were going to have a bloody uprising on our hands, nationwide. Perhaps. But according to him, he wants to make sure memory sites have power. Enough power to help the weak. The weak? How arrogant. I suppose his goal is to create a new trade network of memory sites and profit until he's filthy rich, eh? I wonder. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps not. Lips shook her head then, in a futile attempt to shake off the demons in her heart. There was nothing but confusion and anger and loss in her eyes. I met him during one of our standardized patient encounters. I was just a student there, and he taught me so well. Speaking of which, tell me, how many years did you graduate in? 2. The genius accelerated course. Somehow I'm not surprised, but you'll excuse me if I'm just a little envious. It took me 7 years. In other words, I've been here for far longer than you have. Lips laughed, her voice filled with self-derision. Obviously she knew this wasn't something you boasted about. I entered the academy when I was 12. Can you imagine that? I didn't know anything but Memryside, the world, anything. And on top of that, I was a dunce. No one liked me, no one helped me along. I was so lonely. But he was the one. He was the one who came and held my hand. He was the one who told me that it was okay, that I'd turn out fine. You're in love with him? Yeah, or was. Right now I have no idea. I don't know if I really was in love with him, or if I was just lonely and willing to accept any companionship that came my way. She kept talking, as if by doing so she'd be able to extract the purest darkness of her heart from the very words that fell from her mouth. Who was she conversing with now? Who was she listening to? Certainly not me. These are all things I've really come to hate about myself, but I think it might be too late for me now. Would someone like you have any idea how that feels? Probably not. No, I understand. A little. Oh. Lips sat with surprise. Then she smiled. Oh, good heavens. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How come I can't be honest with myself in even one little thing? So that's why you left the list at Roma. That was your attempt to try to stop the cell from doing anything more. Is that right? That's right. I didn't have the courage to send it to HQ, but I was hoping if I got to know the owner of Aroma and accidentally left the list lying around, he would pick it up and take the appropriate steps. And I was pleasantly surprised too. He's really a nice guy. And I've caused him so much trouble now too. Now I was glad Rook wasn't here. Had he heard any of this, I think he'd have spiraled into an uncontrollable depression. Or into an uncontrollable rage. Either way, something uncontrollable and bad. It would have been much better had she just been open and honest with us from the very beginning. And the final nail on the coffin is, my powers are dying. Back in the old day, I used to be able to pick up on people's thoughts a lot more easily. But nowadays, I can't even catch a glimpse. You get kicked out of town if you're not a Memryside anymore, right? That's why I wanted to put an end to this before I got deported. I see. I nodded. I had no idea whether it was a good idea to tell her what I was about to tell her. But she looked so sad and alone at that moment that I didn't really have a choice in the matter. A memory's powers will inevitably fade when he is filled to capacity. What? Or at least that's what the textbook says. Lips smiled ambiguously at this. Oh, that was his text, whoops. Burnout. The signs were obvious, she was very close. If she remained alone in the state for much longer, she was in danger of losing her powers permanently. In some ways, this was the happiest thing that could happen to her, or any Memryside. So, she actually did try to make her mistakes up, I guess. Now the question is, how far was she actually involved with the terrorist attacks? Like, obviously she didn't like them, so maybe she didn't have anything to do with it. But still, she was at least part of the cell, I guess. Man, we don't know. And I guess at this point it doesn't really matter anymore. They were waiting for us at the old church on 5th. The professor and 2 others. La was lying motionless on one of the church benches. Is the professor an old man? Let's make him an old man. I mean, okay, she is having on, I mean, it's not, we don't know if she had a relationship with him. Still, let's assume he's an old man. No need to worry now, son. I've just drugged her, that is all. She hasn't been hurt. The professor sat with a smile as he ruffled La's hair. La shuddered a bit, and then was still again. Have you brought the list? I took the envelope out of my pocket. I opened it up and unfolded the piece of paper and showed it to him. Good. Now hand it over to Lips and send her over here. Lips jumped in surprise. She stared hard at the professor, and then she finally nodded. She had decided at last. So she took the envelope and walked slowly to the professor's side. Did he give her weapon back? Maybe, I don't know. Her eyes, her face, her body. There was bitterness oozing out of every pore as she approached her lover. She handed the envelope over to him and rushed directly to La's side. But the moment she knelt to examine La, one of the men pulled out the gun and held it to her head. Lips felt the ring of cold steel and turned to the professor. "What are you doing? That isn't something a traitor has the right to know, lass." He turned to me, bringing his arm up to aim a gun at me. But I was faster. Mine was already pointed at him. Okay, so he has still the gun of her, okay? God damn it, it's going down now. He stared at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Obviously, he hadn't expected this. "And are you going to shoot? Are you going to try to kill me?" Oh, he's obviously not that old, but he has a raspy voice now. "That's my line, thank you very much. This isn't your lucky day. All I want is for my guests to be safe. And you happen to be in the way." The professor's mouth fell open. He stared at me in total disbelief. He couldn't tear his eyes away, no matter how hard he tried. He started trembling. Cold sweat started running down his face. He grew paler and paler. He looked cold. I simply stared back at him, with a look that froze him to the spot. When I was younger, I was considered a crack shot with these. If this were a gunfight, you'd have no chance. My index finger tightened on the trigger. The professor gulped loudly. His eyes rolled upward, and then all consciousness and light faded from him. "But you don't even deserve that." Wow. Wow. Man, this terrorist leader is really a disappointment. You know, on the foe, he was no match for Black Iris, let's say it like this. He crashed to the ground. I fired a shot into La's captor's leg without a moment's hesitation. The man doubled over. Lips sprung into action, jarring the man behind her off balance, stripping him of his gun and throwing him. And while he was still in the air, she brought up a knee in a blinding strike, right to his chin. Good night. He wasn't going to be seeing anything for a very long time. Impressive. Most impressive. So you can take care of yourself. This is nothing much, but that's not important right now. She pocketed the gun she had taken from her assailant, gave him another kick for good measure as he flopped on the ground, and then turned to look down at the fallen professor. Just a short bolus of amnesia. He'll recover soon enough. You're a dangerous man, you know, and your powers are even more so. That's precisely why I remain here. She nodded, so she finally understood. Tears were streaming down her face. I didn't know if it was because she realized that she sold her lover out, or if it was because she felt some pity for him in his prostration. There we go. I didn't know, and I didn't care either. Because she stopped crying soon thereafter, and she never cried again. Okay, what do you want to indicate with she never cried again? It sounds a lot like suicide, but I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, it's a sad story after all. I mean, it's that she is obviously morally in the wrong. I guess we don't really have to debate that. Still, I mean, by now it's probably a cliche thing to say, but no baby is born hateful, you know. It's so fucking sad that the world. God damn it! If I'm tired, I'm also overly emotional. God damn it! I can't even think about that. Otherwise, I really start to cry, man. This world is so fucked up. I mean, not that it is more to these days more fucked up. Many people will You know, back in the day, the world was much better. No, the world was never better. And that's so fucking sad. The world has always been fucked up. La woke up in due course, and then we started heading home. A cleanup team from HQ would be here soon enough. Rook had taken care of that, at least I presumed. Oh god, she didn't kill herself, okay. Ah, still, I guess she has to face the consequences, you know. Oh wow, how embarrassing. I didn't want to cry. Were you watching? Lips said as she rubbed her red-rimmed eyes. For once, La was walking a little bit behind me. She probably didn't feel so well right now. No, I wasn't. Which means I was, of course. Lips nodded a little crossly. A little while later, she nodded again, came close indeed, and kissed me on the cheek. I happened to be looking sidelong at La at that moment, and I was amused to watch her eyes snap open as big as saucers. Be a good boy and forget for me, please. What? Forget for me? Huh? Aha. Oh, well, I guess I'll get it later. So this is why she called herself Lips. I nodded and smiled. La took offense to this and went running past me as fast as her little feet could take her. Oh, Lips is... Oh, forget about the crying and Lips about the kiss. Now I get it. Lips stuck her tongue out at me. Obviously she was trying to taunt me. So I was in big trouble, eh? I merely sighed and said to her, I'm sorry, but that doesn't work on me. Although I think it might be better if we both forgot this little experience. I agree. I saw the new lights in her eyes. At last, she finally understood. It was okay for her to be free of that man's shadow. If you like, there's a much better man I know who'd love to meet you. Although he's a pretty big rascal if you ask me. Really? Are we just going to forgive her? Are we just doing that? I mean, she has a bad backstory. She was very young when she came here. She had nobody. The professor took care of her. Man, you could argue like something that this is something like Manson family-ish, you know. But still, like, man, I don't know. Like, in my opinion, the only way On the other hand, this government also seems pretty fucked up. I gotta be honest, like... This all doesn't seem normal to me. But still, like, I don't know. Do I have to be the judge on that? I guess I don't. I'm looking forward to it. She smiled at me mysteriously, and then looked up at the sky. The snow drifted down from the low-hanging clouds onto her hair and her cheeks, and melted away. La remained silent the entire time, even after we had parted with Lips and were well on our way home to 8th Street. I was getting a little concerned at this point, so I said to her, Hey La, are you mad? La stopped in her tracks. She turned to me, shook her head, and bit her lip. She was holding something in, but what that something was, I had no clue. No, not mad at all. Not mad at all. Her voice grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared. Her eyes, too, looked lower and lower until they were busy studying her shoes. Snow covered her hair and her shoulders. It brushed past her pale cheeks. She looked cold, and alone, and lost. Not mad at all, but don't know what's what anymore. She put her hands on her heart, as if there was something massive and painful throbbing away inside her little chest. And then I remembered something I'd been wanting to say to her for a long time. La, that was very dangerous what you did. You could have been injured or killed, had things not gone your way. I know, but still, I thought I could escape. Didn't expect them to drug me. That's not what I'm talking about. As my voice echoed across the frozen wasteland of a street we called our neighborhood, I finally realized I was the one who was mad, not her. I was so worried. I'm so glad that you're alright. I really am. I'm sorry, Black Iris. I'm so sorry. Oh, don't cry now, okay? If they find out that I made my guest cry, I'm sure they're going to do something really bad to me. Lars smiled then, and slowly began wiping the tears from her face. I let out a sigh of relief. Let's go home and relax, okay? I'm totally exhausted. How about you? Me too. I'll cook up a nice dinner for you. You deserve it. I'd love that. Wait a second, right now our place looks like a bomb went off in it. Oh, for crying out loud, I had totally forgotten about that. I was going to take all night for us to clean up the mess. But that was okay. La was going to be at my side. We'd get through it. Although I would have preferred to eat her undoubtedly delicious dinner and go to sleep forever. Good girls say goodbye with a smile. Oh no! So the fifth act will be the final act, I assume. Man. 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 You know. I don't even know what's what anymore. It's not only La, I don't really know. I don't really know. Doesn't seem right, doesn't seem wrong, you know what I mean? Everyone deserves a second chance, I guess. I personally have always been... I always thought that way, you know. Still, like... And she helped to actually get rid of the terrorist cell. Actually, without her, they would still, you know, be out there acting. But still, I don't... Like just... Okay, go on. Try to live a better life from now on. Like the Dragon Ball Z version of a story. Man, I don't know, really. I really don't know. My poor little heart. This was... I don't know. This was really kind of emotional episode to me. I don't know, man. It's always so... It's so sad to see. Like, what is wrong in the world and how it comes to stuff that is wrong in the world, and man, you just don't feel okay afterwards. At least I don't. No, in a world where I could decide, everyone would just live side by side, man. Letting other people be at peace. But that isn't the case, I guess. So, thank you everybody for watching. Come back for the next episode. Maybe I guess I'll make a big one for the finish. Like, it really seems like this is the end. At least judging by the name of the chapter. So, I'll see you then. Bye bye.